right. Hello, everyone. Happy Tuesday. Hope you're having a wonderful day today. Having a great day. And I am actually just setting out all of my press-on nails here. I'm going to be doing a quick set on myself. I'm going to show you guys a really quick removal on one of my gel polish nails here. And I'm starting to feel a little festive here for Valentine's Day. So I just want to show you guys a quick set. I'm actually going to customize some of these to make it more of a custom set and not one that everybody's going to have. So I'm just, like I said, just kind of organizing my nails here, getting those ready to go. And let's go ahead and get started in just a second. Let me pull up my chat, see what you guys are up to, see if we are live. And I'm not sure that we are, but let's go ahead and give this another try here. Hopefully we are up and running. All right, okay, there we go. All right, you guys, sorry about the little delay there. I was having a little challenge opening up my app. Guys, I had my new update on my phone, so I was a little off there. But we got the nails all sorted out. If you missed that, I've got my nails all sorted out. The ones that I'm going to be using today, this is Romance Ombre. I don't know if you can see that. There we go. Now you can see that. Romance Ombre, which is kind of that red and pink ombre. Really pretty for Valentine's Day. So that's what we're going to be working with. And let's see, somebody's asking, what can I use to keep my cuticles hydrated along with cuticle oil and lotion? Cuticle oil and lotion is your best option. And I always start with the cuticle oil, put that onto the cuticles, and then put your lotion over the top of that. So that way everything is going to stay nice and hydrated. That's my idea of a good combination. All right, you guys, let's go ahead and get started. And you can see that I've already started taking off my gel polish, and I'm going to switch over to the set of press-ons here for just maybe a few days here, just because I wanted to feel a little festive. But I still have my gel polish on my pinky nail, so I want to show you guys how I would remove that. So first thing I always start with, and you guys always know this, whatever service I'm doing, whatever application I'm starting, I'm always going to start by pushing back my cuticles. Even if that's just removing my gel polish, I still push back my cuticles to get that kind of cleaned up and out of the way. So that way, as I'm filing, I'm not going to bump into my cuticle, and then we're going to clean up those cuticles a little bit more after we remove the product. So I am going to be working with our electric file, and today, you guys, I've kind of realized that I haven't been using my my portable very much, and I don't know why, because I absolutely love it. So that's what I'm going to be using today. Now you guys can see on screen that the numbers are flashing. They don't flash in person. They're not actually flashing on my end here, but for whatever reason they flash when you're looking at the screen. So I'm going to work with this at about, I think we're going to work at about maybe 12,000 RPMs, 11 to 12,000 RPMs. So I'm going to turn the dial to 12. I'm going to change out my bit. So right now that's my sanding band. When I'm removing my gel polish, I personally like to use our, hang on one second, let me see if I can find my other bit here. But I like to use my safety bit Coarse. So this is our safety bit Coarse. And let me see if I've got, we also have just the regular safety bit. So you can see the regular safety bit, this is more of a medium grit, whereas the gold one is more of a coarse grit. Personal preference, but I do like to work with the coarse a little bit more than that medium. I feel like for me it works a little bit quicker and a little bit easier, but it's a personal preference for you. Now, the next thing I'm going to get is my dust collector. Whenever I'm removing my gel polish, I always want to make sure that I'm using my dust collector. So that is going to pull all of that dust down into the filter, and it's not going to come up into my breathing zone. So I'm going to turn that on. And again, we're going to turn our e-file to about 12,000 RPMs. Hopefully you guys can still hear me just fine. And when I'm removing gel polish, especially when I'm working on myself, I do go a little bit slower. But I'm just going to pull that bit all the way through from cuticle to free edge. Come in a little closer. There you go. Just to get that product taken down. So I actually, when I start my gel manicures, I actually start with 2 coats of my base coat, and that's going to help protect that natural nail so that, you guys can kind of see, there's a little area right through here that I did file off that base coat, but on the rest of the nail here, all the way through there, I still have base coat on there. So by starting with 2 coats of my base coat, it gives me a little bit better wear, and it also helps when I'm removing my gel polish so that I don't file all the way down to that natural nail. Especially if you are changing out your color every couple of weeks, you want to make sure that you're not filing down to that natural nail every couple of weeks and then re-prepping, because that can actually cause some damage to that natural nail. So you want to make sure that you're keeping those natural nails nice and healthy and you're not filing excessively on that natural nail, especially with the carbide bit that I'm using here. This bit is designed to shave down product, and we don't want to be shaving down that natural nail. So notice that I kind of do some little feathering motions, working up around the cuticle. I just do short little circular motions to remove those last little bits. And I'm going to pull my skin back down here on the side. I don't want that skin tucking up on the edge. I want to pull that away so that way I can get right down into those edges. And we'll just kind of feather right through that free edge just a little bit. And I think we're good. Now I do have a little bit of that product still on the other side here. I'm actually going to turn my bit around, get a little bit closer. Now notice with this bit, if I do bump into that skin, it's not going to damage because there isn't a sharp edge on here. That's why I really like to work with the safety bit rather than maybe my X-cut, especially when I'm working on myself, because I don't always have the correct angle that I do when I'm working on a real client. Okay, so just a quick removal on that one. You guys can see I have removed all my gel polish from the rest of my nails here. So we're going to turn our e-file off. And I am actually going to switch to a different bit. So I'm going to switch back to my sanding band. And we'll pop that one in. And you guys, as you all know, I always make sure to change out my sanding band with every new application, every new client, like I said, every application. Because I always want to make sure that I've got a nice clean band. And I also want to make sure that I have one with the proper grit. So always change out your sanding bands. And pop that new one on there. Now when I'm working closer to my natural nail, let me show you guys on our e-file again here. We were working at about 12,000 RPMs. I'm going to turn my speed down to maybe about 5,000 or 6,000 RPMs. And I'm going to just go through, whoops, I just turned my e-file off here. Hang on a second, guys. Push the wrong button. All right, so we're going to work, let me come in nice and close so you can see. We're going to work, whoops. There we go. You actually have to turn it on for it to work. I know it's weird like that, but we're going to work up around that cuticle just to clean off those last little bits of that color. Now, depending on what you're doing for your next application, if you're going into just a regular gel polish application over this, you don't need to remove all of that extra base coat that's on there. It's actually going to help to protect that natural nail. But I do want to clean up around my cuticles, around that side, making sure that I get all of that extra color removed and then cleaning up right into that cuticle. Now, today, we're not actually going into a gel manicure. What I'm going to do, I'm going to turn off my dust collector so you guys can hear me a little bit better. But what we're going to be doing today is a set of press-on nails. And if you were here right at the beginning, you saw the set that I had organized here. And again, this one is Romance Ombre. So you can see that on the box, Romance Ombre, really pretty red and pink look. So today I'm going to be working with the press-ons. I'm going to actually apply these with our adhesive tabs. So when I'm working with the adhesive tabs, I don't necessarily need to remove the rest of that base coat as well. Now, if you want to, you can go ahead and remove that. I don't think I need to today. But what I am going to do to prep the rest of these is, I don't know if you guys can see this or not, but Earlier today, I removed the rest of my gel polish and then I promptly knocked my nail on my countertop and I cracked that nail. So I'm actually going to shorten these up a little bit, trim them down, and just kind of give them a quick little shape here. Now, when you're working and putting the press-on nails on, you don't have to shorten up the nails, but a lot of times I actually like to, just because I feel like it's going to be a little bit of a better fit on some of them. So I'm just going to clip down a little bit shorter, kind of even these out a little bit. Take that middle one down because that's got that little crack in there. And just kind of even them out. Now, if I were just going right to a regular gel polish manicure, I might not shorten these up, but just depends on kind of where you're going and what your application is going to be. Now, I've already shaped up my thumb here, but I'm going to grab my 180 grit file and buffer combo. So when I'm shaping up my natural nails, I do like to use that file buffer because I'm going to give it a little shape with, whoops, sorry guys, with the file. And then I can flip over and I can use that buffer to just kind of smooth out my natural nail. Now again, when you're working with the press-on nails, you don't have to do the prep that you do with if you're doing like a full cover application with gel, or if you're doing an acrylic or a hard gel, you don't have to do quite the prep that you do with those applications. So when you're working with the press-ons and you're applying them either with the adhesive or the adhesive tabs, I'll just say the glue or the adhesive tabs, I usually will just give the nails a quick buff, again, to give them just kind of a nice smooth finish. So again, just shaping up that free edge, cleaning that up a little bit, just catching all those edges and just giving it a nice even shape. I'll round out my corners here just a little bit. All right, and then I'm just going to go through, I'm going to take that 180 file buffer, I'm going to flip over to the buffer side of it and just give that nail a quick buff. Now, I've pushed back my cuticles, but I haven't really done a whole lot else with those cuticles. If you feel like you need to, if you've got maybe a little bit of excess dry skin around that cuticle area and you want to, you can go in with your diamond cuticle square bit. This is actually one of my favorite bits to use around my cuticle area. And I'm going to turn my speed on my e-file to, right now I've got it at about 3,000 RPMs. And I'm just going to use that right up into that cuticle to really clean that up. Again, you don't have to do this step when you're doing a press-on application, but I always like to keep my cuticles cleaned up as much as possible, especially this time of year because where I live it's very dry and it's a little bit chilly outside. So my cuticles in the winter months do get a little bit dry, and keeping them cleaned up, keeping that cuticle lifted off of the nail is going to help to keep you from getting hangnails. So maintaining your cuticles is a good idea on a regular basis. And again, you guys, I love using this diamond cuticle square bit just because it gets right up into those cuticles. It's not a coarse bit where it's going to cut skin or anything. It's just a very gentle bit, and I'm also using it on a very low speed. So just cleaning up my cuticles, and then we will size out our tips. Now let me just get right up in this edge here. And you guys, when I'm working on myself, I do tend to kind of turn my hand in weird directions, so it's probably going to look a little strange on camera, but when you're working on yourself, sometimes you're not going to be working in the same exact motion or position that you would be if you're working on a client. So just some little helpful tricks when you are working on yourself. All right, let's go ahead and dust off my nails. I'm not going to cleanse them or prep them or, sorry, apply protein bond or anything at this point. I'm just going to dust them off because now at this point, I want to go to my sizing, because we're actually going to take this set of press-ons and we're going to customize it a little bit. So I'm not gonna cleanse my nails just yet. So when you are sizing out the press-ons, it can be a little bit tricky because you guys, they are press-ons. I always say anytime you're working with tips, it's a one size fits most because they're not going to fit everybody perfectly. But you can see these are all of the sizes. So these are all of the nails that you get in this box. You know what? Let me show you exactly what comes in this little kit. So just so you can see as I open that up, in there you do have, in this top section, let me open that up, you've got a little file. So if you don't have that 180 file buffer combo, you've got that little file that you can use to shape those up or to kind of smooth out the surface of your nail. You also have an orange wood stick. So again, if you need to use that to push back your cuticles, you can use that as well. So in the top section here, we've got kind of some of those more common sizes. So these are going to be a lot of the sizes that you're going to use more of, I would say probably on your middle 3 fingers here. So we've got those common sizes, and then inside you're going to get a little plastic baggie, and it's going to have all of the rest of these nails in there. So you've got a lot of different sizes and a lot of variety. I just lay mine out like this, and I just have these on, it's just double-sided tape on a little ceramic tile. So for me, it's just a little bit easier to organize those when I'm actually sizing them out on myself. And I just popped those off of there, but that's okay. Stick those back on. In the kit, you also get an alcohol wipe. So that's what you can use to cleanse the nail. Now, when I do cleanse my own nails, I actually use my swipe. This is the same product that we use when we're cleansing our nails before any other artificial enhancement. So if you've got swipe, you can definitely use that. Otherwise, the alcohol wipe, that does come in here. Now, this is just a one-time use. So if you're going to reuse your press-on tips, I would definitely recommend grabbing a bottle of the swipe off of our website. It's a great product for cleansing the nails for pretty much any application that you're going to be working with. So you do have that for one-time use. Now for applying the tips, you've got 2 different options. You've got the adhesive tabs, which I think that's what I'm going to use today. But you also have that little tube of glue, and maybe I'll show you one nail with the glue. But if you're wanting more of a longer wear, I would go with using the glue. Using the glue and adhering the tips with the glue, you're probably going to get at least a week, if not longer, of wear. If you are just maybe wanting something for the weekend or maybe a couple of days, and that's kind of where I'm at today, use those little adhesive tabs. So those are the adhesive tabs you can use on the tips, and then you can reuse the tips. You can take them off and on and reuse them again. Whereas if you're using the glue and you glue those on, the safest way to remove a tip that's been glued on is to soak it off. So if you're using the glue, you're probably not going to be able to reuse those tips. So if you want to reuse them, I definitely recommend using the adhesive tabs. But if you want longer wear, then I would go with the glue. So those are just the options that you've got in the kit. Now let's get to sizing. So again, when we're sizing, it's a one size fits most, but let me come in a little closer here. So when I'm sizing, I want to make sure that the C-curve of that tip is going to fit all the way through the C-curve of my nail. Now you guys, I can't turn my thumb around here, so let me start on my pointer here. I think that might be a little bit better. So when you're sizing out, you want to make sure that you're looking from the C-curve. You want to make sure that that tip is going to sit fairly flush down onto your natural nail. So make sure that that is going to fit first. And then you also want to make sure that you're going to be able to fit that tip from side to side so that it's going to cover that natural nail. Now my nails are actually some of them are kind of in between sizes. So I actually, on this one, I think I would tend to want to go to a smaller size, because if we take a look at this one looks like it is a little bit large around that cuticle area, but it does fit really nicely all the way from side to side. So I'm actually going to check a smaller size. Now this one, this actually feels kind of tight on my nail. And you can see there's just that little bit of a gap right there where my natural nail is kind of showing. Now, again, you guys, if you're wearing these for just a really temporary day, you know, maybe an event or something, and you don't want to spend the extra time customizing and things like that, and you don't mind that little tiny bit of your natural nail hanging out, go ahead with the smaller size. But if you do want them to fit a little more perfect, then maybe go with that larger size, and you can customize it a little bit to fit a little bit better. Now, the other thing to keep in mind, if you're going to be using those adhesive tabs, those are a little bit, I'm not going to say they're thick, but if you look at them from the side, they're going to add just a little bit of thickness in between that tip and your natural nail. So it is going to actually raise up that tip ever so slightly. So it's not going to be flush down on that side. it's going to raise it up just ever so slightly. So I actually do size out my full cover tips just a little bit on the larger side, or my press-on tips, just a little bit larger, just in case I have a little bit of that extra thickness in between. So I think I'm going to go with this size. And you guys, I've got my little stand here. I like to use this when I'm sizing out my own nails, just because it's going to be easier for me. So I'm going to just pop that one right on there. Now I may do a little bit of customizing on some of these, but I'm going to just start with my basic sizes. So let's go back to our thumb here. Let's take a look on this one. So on my thumb, I feel like this one actually looks really good. It fits right up into that cuticle just fine. It's good on one side, but it's just a little bit shy on the other side. So this one is just a tiny little bit small for my nail. Now, if I go to the size bigger, if I take a look at that one's actually going to be too big, because that one's going to hang off my cuticle area. And it's actually, again, you guys, I have a hard time coming around this direction here, but it's actually a little bit too big for my natural C curve. So it really is, it's kind of a tricky situation. Do I go with the larger size and customize it a little bit around those cuticles and have maybe just a little bit more of a kind of a bulky looking nail? Or do I go with the smaller size and have it look a little bit more perfect, but have just that edge showing? So it's a personal preference what you want to do, if you want to customize it a little bit. But again, you guys, the tips are, like I said, one size fits most. So use your best judgment and see what's going to look the best. And I think, you guys, for today, I am going to be using the adhesive tabs. So I think I am going to go with the larger size, because I can actually kind of pinch that in a little bit on those edges. And I think that is going to fit a little bit better than the smaller size. So we're going to go with that one for my thumb. And again, we're going to just set this right here onto my little stand. I'm going to size out the rest of these. Same kind of thing, just checking to make sure that they're going to fit from side to side. I think that one's going to look good here. That's going to go on my middle finger. We're going to go a little bit smaller on my ring finger. Now that one, it looks like it fits right up into my cuticle area, but this one is actually way too small on those corners down there. So I'm going to go a size up on that. And I think I'm actually going to go to the rest of the package here. So in the rest of the package, we've got some more of those more common sizes. So I think I'm going to probably end up using one of those. And that's still just a little bit small. Let's go up one more size. Okay, so I think that one's going to be good. So again, if we take a look here, still maybe just, maybe I'm going to go up one more size. Let's just try it. Sometimes you have to check on a few different sizes. Okay, now this one I actually feel like is going to be a lot better. Feels just a little bit large on that C curve, but again, because we're going to use the adhesive tabs, I think this one's going to be just fine. So we're going to go with that. Again, I might end up doing a little bit of customizing on some of these just to make sure that they fit properly, but we'll get to that in just a second. And then my last one here, I think that one's going to look good. Okay, so now I've got my tips sized out. So now I can set the rest of those off to the side and just work with what I've got here. So when I'm customizing, I want to check and make sure how everything is going to fit. And I might need to do a little filing around my cuticle. So this one you can see my natural nail on my thumb here, my cuticle is a little bit more square, and that's actually going to fit pretty well with that tip. But I am going to just take off a little bit right around the edges just to kind of round that in. And again, going back to that 180 file buffer combo that I was using before, I'm not going to take a lot off of that, just a tiny little bit, and then I'm going to use that buffer edge to just smooth out where I filed. So again, kind of round that out just a tiny little bit if I need to. And then you can kind of see there's a little bit of a frayed edge. That's where I use that buffer to clean that up. All right. I think that's going to fit a lot better right in there. Now, let's go ahead and customize the rest of these. And you guys, as I'm customizing these, I'm gonna tell you guys what we're gonna do. We're gonna actually do a little bit of a custom design on these. Just because these are already pre-designed doesn't mean that you can't add your own flair to it. So we're actually going to be adding some glitter. We're going to add some hearts to these because yes, you guys, Valentine's Day is coming up and we all want to be wearing those hearts. So we're going to add some fun sparkly hearts to these. I'll show you guys that in just a second. Somebody's asking, what is the nail color dark one on the one on my nails? You guys, what I have on my nails right now is, it's called, let me grab it. Let me see. It is called Hot Cave Freak. So it's just, I was telling everybody yesterday, it's kind of a cinnamony hot chocolate, milk chocolate kind of a color. So absolutely beautiful color. But let's talk about the colors that we're going to be using on these nails today. You guys, as I'm customizing these two, I want to let you know that, let me come back out here real quick. I just want to show you a few other different sets here. If you want to really customize your sets, you can mix and match. So say you've got the pretty set, the red and pink that we're going to be doing today. Maybe you want to add in another accent nail. Maybe you want to throw in a brighter pink into that set. You could add one of, let's see, this one is Pinky Promise. You could add one of Pinky Promise into this set. And you can see the shaping is just ever so slightly more tapered, a little bit more, stiletto, a little more pointed on the pink ones here, but you could taper in these ones here to make it match that set. So you can really customize. You can add in one set, combine it with another. This is another one of my favorites. This one is called Five Finger Heist. And these are some kind of cranberry colors with a little bit of a chrome finish. So depending on what you want to mix and match, you can absolutely mix and match those colors and those set combinations. Guys, here's another really cute one that's I think is going to be really good for Valentine's Day. Just a little extra sparkle. This one's called Moonbeam Fade. But again, these are more squared off. So if you want to add these into your set here, or say you would want to grab those pink ones and add those into the set, that actually is going to be a really pretty set. You could clip off and file off the end of these to square them off and look a little bit more like those. So you guys, you can really customize your sets and you can mix and match and just play around with all of the different sets and see what you like. Somebody's asking, where is the bow tutorial? We're not doing bows today. We're doing the full set of press-ons. But we do have a couple of different videos on our on our YouTube channel here showing how to do bows. So make sure to check those out. You guys make sure to hit that subscribe button. Join our community here, and we've got over 3,000 videos here on our YouTube channel. So if you're looking for bows, if you're looking for other kind of fun designs or different application techniques, make sure to check out the rest of our channel because we probably have some kind of a video on so many different things. Anything that you're looking for, we probably have a video. All right, so again, going back to customizing these, making sure that that is going to fit perfectly up into my cuticle area. Grab this one here, same thing again, you guys. I'm going to show you this nice and close. So what I'm doing, again, if you look at my cuticle here, my natural cuticle area, that's more rounded than what the tip is. So what I want to do is just file off these little corners here so that the tip is going to fit right up into my own cuticle area. So again, we're just going to round this out just a tiny little bit. All right, you guys, let me know in the chat. Are you somebody that does like to wear press-ons? Have you worn press-ons before? Or is this new to you? Have you not worn press-ons before? Let me know. I want to know if you're press-on wearers, or if you're just hanging out and having a good time. Let me know in the chat. All right, so again, just customizing around that edge. So now if we take a look at that, now that's going to sit a little bit more flush up into my cuticle area, and it's not going to be hanging off that edge or hanging onto the skin. Okay, so one last nail that I'm going to customize, and then we'll get into a little bit more of our design work. And same thing on this one. We're just going to round out the edge. And somebody was asking about bundles. You guys, not today, but we do have a sale starting tomorrow on our website, youngnails.com. You guys, if you haven't been to our website yet, make sure to check it out. We've got a really fun sale for Valentine's starting tomorrow. Tomorrow is Wednesday, right? Starting tomorrow. So make sure to check that out. Pretty much anything that is red or pink is going to be on sale. So make sure to check that out. And ironically enough, I know it's weird, you guys, but the tips that I'm working with today, these are going to be on sale. So make sure to check out the website and get all of those great deals. Okay, so we've got the tips sized out. We're ready to go here. Now, you guys, this is a really pretty set. It's that pretty pink and red ombre, but I actually want to add a little bit more to it. I want to add a little bit of sparkle, and I want to add a little bit of hearts for Valentine's Day. So what I'm going to be using, I've got a glitter here, and this one is called Mother-in-Law's Tongue. Again, you guys, this is a red. It's probably going to be on sale tomorrow, so make sure to check on that. And then the sparkle that we have here, we've got some really cute holograms hearts, and that one is called Weekender Express. So check out the website. So again, an ultra fine glitter. Now I'm going to be applying the glitter with my gel polish, and I'm going to start with my base coat. Now when we're working with gel over the full cover or the press-on nails, I want to go through and just very lightly remove the shine, because gel actually does not like to stick very well to a shiny surface. So I'm going to first figure out what nail I want to put my glitter on. So you guys, let me know in the chat. I need your thoughts on this. Do we want one sparkly nail? Do we want two sparkly nails? Or I'm just going to say one or two. Let me know in the chat. One or two? Do you want one or two sparkly nails? Let me know in the chat. So what I'm going to do, depending on which nails we choose to add the sparkles to, I'm going to go back to that 180 file buffer combo. I'm going to use the buffer side to just very, very gently remove the shine from the tip so that my gel polish is going to adhere well. Somebody says on the ring finger. Okay, we'll start with the ring finger. Now, when I'm customizing, you guys, you can either customize when it's on the stand here, or you can customize them once they're on if you're using the adhesive tabs or the glue. If you're using any of our full cover tips and you're going to customize them and do your design work, let me rephrase that. If you're going to be applying any full cover tips with our tip and jewel adhesive gel, then I would recommend doing your design work after the nail has been applied. So if you guys were with us yesterday and you saw my demo yesterday, if you were applying the nails like that with our gel, you would want to apply the nails onto your nails first before you do any pre-designing, because if you were to use this gel to try to adhere these to the nail, this color is too opaque and it's not going to cure this gel all the way through. So make sure that if you're working with the tip and jewel adhesive gel, that you're applying it to a translucent nail and that it's going to cure well that way. But for today, because we're going to be using either the glue or the adhesive tabs, we can pre-design these and everything is going to adhere just fine. So I think a lot of you were saying 2 nails. So okay, I'm going to go through and I'm going to prep 2 nails. So just very, very gently. You don't want to be buffing a lot. Let me come in a little closer so you can see. Just enough to very lightly remove the shine. If you buff too much, you're going to end up filing off that color, and we don't want to do that. We don't want to damage that design. So you could also go, if you're feeling like you're a little bit more of a heavy-handed filer, you could go to our 240 file buffer combo and use that buffer instead. So it's a little bit finer. It's not going to take off as much of the surface, but it is still going to go through and remove enough of that shiny surface for your gel polish to adhere to. And then I'm going to just clean up that edge because there's a little bit of a point from the mold, how the tips are molded. So, all right, so we've got the shine removed. We're going to dust that off a little bit. And you guys said 2, so should we do, let's see, should we do the thumb? Maybe we'll do the thumb sparkly as well. And then we're going to add some hearts to one of our other nails here. So again, shaping up that free edge, going through, gently removing the shine just very lightly. Again, I'm using either the 240 file buffer combo. I'm actually using the buffer on this side, or you can use the 180 buffer, but just enough to lightly remove that shine. Again, we're going to dust off the nail, and then those are going to be ready to go. Now, I'm going to use my swipe just very, very, very mildly. So just a tiny little bit of that on my manicure brush. I'm actually going to tap out some of that excess because I don't want too much, maybe just a tiny little bit more. I don't want too much of the swipe to, whoops. I don't want too much of that swipe on the tips because it's actually going to smooth out that surface again. But I just want to make sure that I've got all of that dust off of there. All right, my little sticky tab's not sticking and holding those. Okay, there we go. So we're going to be using our glitter, and I'm going to apply this with our gel polish base coat. Now, one more thing before I put on our base coat, I'm going to grab my protein bond, and we're going to do a coat of protein bond over that filed or buffed surface. This is going to really help to adhere our base coat onto that nail so that we don't have any chipping or peeling. So just get a nice, quick, and even coat through the whole nail, giving us a nice sticky surface. Now this is not a glue, but it is going to work to really adhere that gel polish to our nail. So just creating a nice sticky surface. All right, we're going to grab our base coat, and I'm going to polish on a nice even coat all the way from cuticle to free edge. And you guys, the reason that I'm using base coat rather than top coat is when our base coat cures, it's going to have a slightly tacky finish to it. So if you were to use the top coat, our top coat does not have a tacky surface, and we want to be able to use that tacky surface to apply our glitter. So we're going to apply one thin coat of that. Now this is going to go into our full UV LED light, and I'm going to cure that for 30 seconds. So I'm actually going to under cure it. When you're working with the base coat, 60 seconds is a full cure on that, but we're going to under cure this so that we have a little bit more of that sticky surface. So we're going to grab our glitter, and again, this one's called Mother-in-Law's Tongue. So this is just a really ultra fine glitter, but it's got a lot of sparkle to it and a lot of shimmer to it. So you can see just a very, very ultra fine glitter. I'm going to grab my just like a little eyeshadow brush, just a very soft kind of fluffy eyeshadow brush. We're going to grab those tips back out of the light, and I'm going to use my brush. I'm going to tap my brush into that powder and then onto that nail, into the powder, onto the nail, into the powder, onto the nail. And then I'm just going to start to kind of tap that back towards the cuticle, adding that little bit of glitter all the way through, blending that onto our nail. So just applying a little bit of that glitter. Same thing on our next nail down here, tap into the glitter, tap onto the nail, blending that through. Now it did cover up a little bit of that pink, but that's okay. Right now our purpose is glitter. So you guys, I think I kind of dinged that one as I was going into the light, but that's okay. All right, so we've got our glitter on there. I'm actually going to put this back into the light now for another quick cure, maybe another 20 seconds or so, just to set that base coat. Cure that base coat a little bit longer so it's now going to be fully cured, and it's actually going to hang on to that glitter so that we can top coat that and seal that glitter in. So at this point, I'm going to grab my brush. I'm just going to dust off any of that excess glitter that didn't hang on. And then we're going to go ahead and seal this. Now, when I seal my glitters, I actually like to seal it again with the base coat. And then we're going to do another coat of our top coat. So we're going to do 2 coats on here. So that first coat is going to cap that glitter on the nail. And then our second coat is going to be our top coat. And the top coat is what is going to give us that really nice high shine finish. Now, could you do 2 coats of top coat? Yes, you could. Personally, I like the base coat. I just feel like it gives a better seal onto the nail. So we're going to cure that for a quick 30 seconds. Again, just to freeze that into place. And then we will go to our top coat to give it that final high shine look. Now, you guys, we're not done yet. We've got one more nail to do, and then we are going to apply these. And the application is going to be really quick and easy. But I did want to show you guys some fun designs before we actually do that application. So, all right, our nail is cured out. That base layer is cured. So now we can add a coat of our top coat right over that surface. Give it that really nice high shine look. And somebody says, what a process. You guys, first of all, trust the process, but this is a little bit of a process when you're adding on your own designs. Now, could I have just left the designs as they were with that pink and red ombre? Absolutely. But if I wanted a little bit more of a custom look, or if I wanted to add that little extra glitter to it and things like that, that's where it is going to take a little bit more time. But you're noticing that I'm doing this ahead of time. So I'm actually going to have these nails all ready and all done before I actually want to apply them. So you can do your customization beforehand and then just apply whenever you're ready. Now, our next thing that we're going to work with is our little heart confettis. Now, these are a little bit thicker than what our glitter was. So with our glitter, that was a really fine glitter, okay? So with our confettis, these are going to be a little bit bigger. So with these, I'm actually going to set them into our gel when it's wet. Now, you guys, I think I forgot to buff the other one. So let me go ahead and buff. I think we're going to put our hearts on maybe our middle nail. So we'll take our middle nail. I'm going to give that one a quick little buff here again, just to make sure that our gel polish is going to adhere. So just gently removing that shine. Oops, let me take that little sticky stuff off the back. And you guys, make sure if you're enjoying our demo today, make sure to hit that subscribe button, join our community, continue to get education. And you guys, actually, I forgot to tell you, talking about education, we are going to be having a class, a live in-person, well, not in person, a live online class on next Monday. So if you're looking for more information on doing some artwork, it's going to be a really fun kind of a Valentine's and winter art inspired class. So check that out on our website. That is also going to be 25% off. So starting tomorrow with our sale, our red and pink products are going to be 25% off, and the class is going to be 25% off. So great time to get that class. Okay, so once more, we're going to apply our protein bond. Now, like I was saying, our confettis are a little bit of a thicker consistency or a little bit of a thicker texture than our glitter that we were using. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to grab my little rhinestone picker-upper tool, and I'm going to apply a coat of our base coat. So I'm trying to keep it, let me just move the camera out. There we go. So we're going to apply a coat of our base coat, and then I'm going to apply the hearts into our wet base coat. So this way they're going to sit a little bit more flush down into that nail. So you're not going to feel a lot of texture with them. So I'm going to take a few of these right out into the cap. And I'm going to use my rhinestone tool to pick those up. And I'm just going to set those, minus that little piece of fuzz, we're going to set those right into that wet gel. And you can apply as many as you want or as few as you want, but I think I'm just going to set these right down in the red area. So that way it kind of ombres them back, whoops, kind of ombres them back with that look. So just kind of setting those down in there, kind of blending them back even. And now at this point, I do want to check and make sure, if I look from the side, do any of those look like they're sticking up? If they do, I want to set those down a little bit more down into that base coat. So making sure that they're not angling up, that they're not poking up, that they're going to be a little bit more flush down onto that nail. And then I can put that back into the light, and I can again freeze that for maybe 30 seconds or so, just to set those into place. Then we're going to do, just like we did on our glitter, we're going to do a coat of our base coat, and that's going to really seal in those hearts and kind of seal around them. And then we'll do an extra coat of our top coat to give us that nice high shine. All right, so our nails are set. So again, we're going to grab that base coat. We're going to brush on a nice even coat, and I'm actually going to use probably a little bit more base coat than what I normally would apply, just because I want to make sure that it's really just weaving in between all of the little nooks and crannies of those little hearts. So then it's going to be a nice smooth finish at the end. So again, I'm going to pop that back into the light for just another quick freeze, maybe another 30 seconds or so. And while that is in the light, I am going to start to grab my little adhesive tabs. Now you guys, this is where it gets quick, okay? When we're putting on those adhesive tabs, that is where it's going to get quick. But I'm going to go back to my top coat. We're going to seal this one with our top coat. And then we'll do a final cure of 60 seconds. And that final cure is going to cure all of our nails, making sure that everything is completely cured out fully. And we're going to have those beautiful nails to press on. All right, so while that is in the light, I'm going to grab my adhesive tabs. You guys, let me come back out here. So in the kit, you get 2 sheets of them. So I'm actually going to pull that apart because I don't need both of those sheets. And I am going to grab my manicure brush. Now at this time, I'm going to dust off my nails. We've already prepped them. I'm going to cleanse them with either swipe or the alcohol wipe that comes in the kit. So either one, if you've already used up your alcohol wipe, then swipe is going to be a great option for you. I'm going to pump a little bit of that onto my manicure brush, give my nails a good scrub, really cleanse those well. And somebody's asking about the class. You guys, the class that we're offering on Monday, it is open to anyone who is a DIYer or a licensed nail tech. You don't have to have a license to take the class, but I believe you do have to be 18 or older to take the class. And you guys, if you have any other questions about that, you can always contact our coordinator, ray@youngnails.com, or just jump onto the website and you can find all the information about the class there. Okay, our tips are cured out. My nails are cleansed. The next step that I'm going to do is I'm going to take those little adhesive tabs and I'm going to stick them onto the back of my tip. Now, the reason that I stick them onto the back of my tip rather than onto my nail is if I want to just do a quick application, I can prep all of this ahead of time. Let me get that little adhesive out of there. I can prep my nails ahead of time. So if maybe I have a party to go to or something like that, or maybe I have a date for Valentine's Day, I can get my nails completely ready to go, put those little adhesive tabs in the well, and then right before I'm ready to head out the door, I can put my tips on, and that way it's going to be quick and easy. So I'm just taking those nails, turning them around here. And one other quick little trick I'm going to show you guys really quickly here is, especially if you're working with the, sorry, there's a little bit of little techies right on the back there. Especially if you're working with the glue. This is a great trick for especially the glue, but it also does work when you're using the adhesive tabs. If you take your Polish Perfector detail brush, just our little cleanup brush, and a little bit of our onto the next polish remover, just pump a little bit of that. Oh, you guys, I don't know why that keeps overflowing like that. Pump a little bit of that polish remover up into the cup. And then use a little bit of that, just a little bit. I'm going to dab out some of that extra. Use a little bit of that right in the well. So just brush that right through the well. And it's going to give that well a little bit more of a sticky surface so that it's going to adhere even better with that adhesive or even the adhesive tabs. So just a quick little extra little trick there for you. Now I am going to open up my tabs here, and it does have a little plastic protective coating on it, so just peel that off. And then we're going to size these out. Now with my large sizes, I'm probably going to go with that largest size. Actually, I think maybe one size smaller. But I want to make sure that I'm covering as much of that well as possible. And as I peel this off, you're going to see there's a little tab right there. I'm going to grab that tab, peel off, whoops, peel off the adhesive tab, and we're going to set that right down into the well. You guys are actually going to lift that up here. What I like to do is I like to start on one side. So I'm going to adhere that down onto one side and then just kind of work through the center and then back up the other side. The reason that I don't just squish it flat down in there is because sometimes you're going to get an air pocket right in the center. So if you start by adhering it from one side and then into the center and then all the way out to the other side, that's going to be, you're going to be able to press out any air pockets that are in there, and you're going to have a little bit better adhesion with that tab. So just quick and easy, we're going to go through the same thing here. I think we're going to go a little bit smaller on these. So grab that little tab, peel that off, stick that right into the well, secure from one side all the way up and over to the other side. And we'll just keep on going. And again, you guys, this is why it's really easy to use these, because again, you can start, or you can do all of your prep work, you can get them all ready to go, and then when you are ready to adhere them, it's just going to be a quick and easy process. So all the way through. And let's see, one more. We'll grab that one. Now, if you do have a tab that was maybe a little bit too big and you've got a little bit of that adhesive hanging off the edge, not to worry, just grab either your scissors or a nipper. I actually usually like to use my nipper. I'm going to grab that. And if you need to, if there's anything hanging off the edge, you can just snip that edge right off. So that way it's not going to be hanging onto your skin. All right, last one, we're going to put our little tab on there. I think we'll go with the smaller one here. Adhere that right through that well. Get that pressed on there. Okay, you guys, we are ready to apply these. So again, my nails are cleansed. I've used my swipe to cleanse those. And I'm actually going to grab my tweezer. So when I'm applying these and peeling off that little plastic backing, I like to use my tweezer with a really fine point to it. So I'm now going to take that tip. I'm going to peel off that little plastic backing. And I'm going to start with that tip. I'm going to start with it at a slight downward angle. I'm going to kind of push that right back to my cuticle. I'm going to look at that, make sure it's nice and straight. So push that right back to my cuticle so it almost tucks under the cuticle. I'm going to set that down just gently. It's not quite secure on there just yet, but I just set it down gently. So now if I need to adjust the shape or the, make sure it's nice and straight, I can adjust that. Once it's nice and straight, then I'll squish that right down onto my nail. Press that right on there flat, and my nail is good to go. So I'm going to go through all the rest of my nails, do that same application, peel off that backing, start at that downward angle, push back that cuticle, almost tuck it under there, set it right down on there, make sure it's nice and straight, and then secure it fully. Now you guys, as you're wearing these, if you're wearing them, throughout the day or something, I always like to recommend just every so often, just give them a quick squish down. Squeeze those tips back on there to help that, that adhesive re-adhere to the nail to make sure that they're not peeling off. And I'm trying to get right under that little tab. Yeah. And you guys, I think I need to get my eyes checked one more time here. There we go. Okay, I wasn't quite seeing where the edge of that tab was. And then again, set that tip down, push back to the cuticle, check my shape, check everything, make sure it's straight, squish that back down on there. We'll grab our pointer finger here. Whoops. Grab that little tab, peel the backing off, set that right down at my cuticle, tuck up to my cuticle, Make sure everything is nice and straight. Adjust that just a little bit, and then we'll squeeze that one down as well. This one had a little bit of that adhesive on there. That's what that is, nothing big. Set that down on there. And our last one, our thumb here, I'm going to peel off that backing. Bring that right up to our cuticle, tuck that up in there. Take a check, looks like it's nice and straight. We will seal that right down on our nail. All right, you guys, that's how quick and easy the actual application is. I know it took a little bit of time to get those designs done, but that's why I say you can do all of your pre-design work ahead of time, and then you have just a really quick and easy application, and your nails are gonna look fun and festive for Valentine's Day or for whatever other day that you wanna wear these. Again, you guys, make sure if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, join our community. Make sure to check out our website, especially starting tomorrow. We've got a sale starting. Anything that is red or pink is going to be on sale, including these tips that I was using. I am going to finish my nails here really quickly with just a little bit of cuticle oil. You can definitely see my cuticles are very dry. So I'm going to put a little bit of that oil up around my cuticle. Now I'm not going to get this right onto the nail. I want to make sure that I'm keeping it dry underneath, because if I get that extra oil underneath the tip, that's what's going to help to start to loosen that adhesive tab. And I don't want to loosen these, but I do want to hydrate my my cuticle area. So rehydrate with a little bit of cuticle oil all the way around. Don't oversaturate it. Yes, Stephanie says, yikes, get some hand cream. Yes, you guys, I definitely need that. But I always like to start out with that clean, dry surface so that my tips adhere really well. And then I'm just going through and rehydrating with that cuticle oil. So again, check out our full cover tips, our press-on tips on our website. We've got the sale starting tomorrow. These are going to be on sale. Our class on next Monday is going to be on sale. So if you're looking for more information, more education, we are going to be having a live, not a live, but an online, an actual, I'm going to be live. I'm going to be live teaching the class, but you guys are going to be sitting in your home in your pajamas, learning in the class. So make sure to get registered for that. Again, that is also going to be 25% off, so don't miss out on that. All right, you guys, thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed our lesson with our press-on nails, and hopefully you guys will do some fun custom designs with your press-ons. We'll see you guys back next time.